What happened? I ended it.
You know what it is, where the April showers get ready to come in, even though it's March, so we just rolling down the block. So now as we going up there, you know, we got butterflies in our stomach, but at the same time, this is our regular lick. You know what I mean? So we pull up in front of the building on 160th, so now we get out and we run up in the joint. So we knock on the door, boom, boom, boom. So as we knock on the door, they yell back, who is it, who is it? You know what I mean? But of course they speaking in Spanish, que pasa, and all that, but I ain't trying to hear all that crap. Just come to the door so I can rob you and get this coke and get up out of there. I know they got drugs in there. So now when I run up in there and I'm ready to go get the drugs, here go Bob. Bob looking a little nervous. So we run up in there and now we pull the pistol on him. I throw the dude against the wall. Bob come in, he throw the other dude against the wall, and I tell him, yo, where the money and the drugs, boot out, you know what it is. So now we tell him that. Here he come, he like, we ain't got no drug, Bobby, we ain't got no drug. Man, I'm not trying to hear all that crap. You got drugs, man. So instead they come out and they bring out a little 80 grand. When they bring out the 80 grand, Bob happy with that. You know what I mean? We ain't never seen 80 grand. I'm talking about we little niggas right now. You know what I mean? So Bob come out with the 80 grand. You know what I mean? And got the little duffel bag on the ground. And I'm telling them like, nah, I know they got drugs in here. You know what I mean? Because they got to re-up. They got to have more drugs. You know what I mean? So now dude ain't trying to give it up. So I tell Bob, I know what we going to do. So I rip the lining out my coat and I stuff the 80 grand in the coat and I grab dude. I take him up the back stairs and I take him to the roof. When I get him to the roof, I figure I could scare him and put the gun in his face, threaten to shoot him, throw him off the roof. You know the whole nine. So now when we get up there ready to throw him off the roof, you know what I mean? Now all we hear is footsteps coming up. So now we hear the footsteps coming up. Next thing we hear is gunshots. Boom, 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 boom. Like, oh shit. So now I grab dude, I throw dude in front of me and I'm holding him as a shield. While I'm holding him as a shield and I'm doing my thing, he's squirming. His man come on there, so I just know he ain't gonna shoot. So I'm like, stop or I kill him, stop or I kill him. His man ain't trying to hit it, he just start busting, boom, boom, boom. So when he shoots, he hits my man that I'm holding my hostage on the right side. When he hit him on the right side, his body went limp to the left side, cause now he weak, that exposed my right side, boom. I catch a 45 in the right, you know what I mean? So now he shoots him again, boom. So now he catch him in the other side, the left side, so now he go limp to the right side. Now I catch a 38 from the other gunman in my left hip, and that joint spun me around more than the 45, the 38. I mean, come on, dog. So now I done spun around. Now he done fired again, hit me in the ass. I got shot in the right leg, left leg, you know, the ass. When I spin around, I get shot up in the chest, and I fall to the ground. But now I bust a couple of times before I go off, and it got real quiet. I didn't hear nothing. I'm just laying there on the roof, my heart beating, boom, 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 boom. And I wonder what the hell is going on. You know what I mean? Like, yo, is this the end? I look over, I see my man Bob laying there with brain matter laid all over the floor. Oh man, not my man Bob, but I gotta get out of here. So I crawl over to the roof, you know what I mean, to the side of the roof, and I'm ready to jump off, but we 6 stories up. So how the hell I'm gonna jump? Oh my God. Yo. Yeah. Okay. Y'all, my bad, y'all. Like I said, this is Raw in Harlem. That's what you just heard, the audio book. You know, I got my man on here with me tonight, Brooklyn Bounty. So we just gonna chill out on a Wednesday. Uh, so you know who Bounty is. Me and Bounty was in Lewisburg together. He caught the RICO charge down in like Charlottesville, West Virginia. He was the youngest dude with the RICO charge, murder, all that. He up in Lewisburg. He 18 years old. You know what I mean? So this here is not to brag. It's not to boast. You know what I mean? It's just to let the youth know that it ain't worth it. That, you know, this the life that we lived, and we telling you it ain't worth it because we the ones that had to sit in jail for all those years. You know what I mean? So just letting you know what it is. So I'm gonna bring my man Brooklyn Bounty up here. Like I said, this ain't to glamorize nothing, none of that. But we just gonna sit here and we gonna chill and let you know what our life was like a little bit. You know what I mean? All right, my man Brooklyn Bounty, introduce yourself, family.
I'm Brooklyn Bounty. They call me Brooklyn Bounty. You can check me out, Brooklyn Bounty 718 on different platforms. Um, Yeah, I was one of the youngest, well, the youngest charged with RICO back in 1992. I received 2 life sentences and 35 years in the federal penitentiary. Um, so yeah, I remember me and Unique landing on the yard together, being in the unit together. Um, you know, young, wild, different dudes. At that time, we was in a place that was vicious. Lewisburg was AKA the big house. Look it up. At the time, that was the federal penitentiary with the most killing, the most violent, and we did what we had to do. We was hustlers, and wasn't going for nothing. And penitentiary raised us, unfortunately. So what we here today to speak about is to let the youth know that that's not a life that you want. It's not a life that you should be going down. A lot of times people glorifying crime and other things like that, different crime figures. And no disrespect to nobody, but that's not the message we want to send. You know what I mean? We want to send a positive message. We all have children, we have grandchildren, you know what I mean? And so that's what we bring it forth. And I just want to shout out Unique for the work he been doing since he been home. You know what I mean? Both of us overturned life sentences. I served 26 years. Unique served 26 years. And we here, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, that's what it is, man. But like I said, so I just want to make sure we introduce this, letting them know this ain't the brag or boast or none of that. You know what I mean? But, you know, tell them what a typical, night is, on the inside in Lewisburg, you know?
Well, I'll give you my first introduction to the penitentiary, right? So I remember getting off the bus. Like I say, back then, if you was under 24, you couldn't even be in a maximum security. But with me, they made exceptions, and they was like, we're not sending you to no medium custody or whatever. So I was actually the youngest one in Lewisburg at the time, and my first experience there. So I get to R&D and receiving, and I remember the CO gave a speech that stuck with me. He was like, "Man, you at a big house now." He was speaking to all of us. It was 40 of us that came on the bus, and the CO was like, "Listen, man, this is the big house. People dying every day. We calling people families. I mean, telling them that they lost a loved one in here." And he basically was like, certain things you stay away from, and you may have a chance of living. And that was drugs, of course, homosexuals, things of that nature. And after he gave this whole spiel about how violent it was, he was getting ready to walk away, and he turned around and he said, "Get you a 10-inch knife, put it up, and pray to God you never have to use it." He was like, "But 9 times out of 10, you will be put in a situation here where you may have to use it." So that right there stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the first time I actually, and probably the only time I actually listened to a CO. You know what I mean? As soon as I got there, um, the homie Prime, God bless the dead, few other brothers that I had known or whatever from the street, and first thing they did was with the care package with your hygiene items and all that, they gave me 2 knives. And you needed it then. It was part of your dress code. And I ain't sitting here telling you no whole bunch of fluff. Anybody who been there, Unique been there, he know. And that was my introduction to the penitentiary. So now as they walking me to the housing unit that I'm going, um, we walking. So all of us, we got our bedroll. There was a Mexican dude next to me, and when we walking down the hall, kind of remind you of certain prison movies. But we walking down the hall, and on both sides of the hall was people standing up on the walls. You know what I mean? And as we walking by, the Mexican that was next to me, he was just coming from another penitentiary in California, based on a riot that happened there between two Mexican groups. And so as we walking, dudes just came off the wall, about 4 dudes, and started stabbing them. But at first, I thought they was punching them, because he was like leaned over and he just saw their hand going up, and they ended up killing him right there. And I found out later that day that the reason they killed him is because he ran in a situation and left his homies, and one of his homies got killed in another penitentiary, and that's what he was getting shipped there for. But I'm not even into the penitentiary an hour, and I see a dude get killed. So, for me, especially at that young, and I got life sentences, I'm like, yo, listen, I'm gonna be here. And if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna do it my way. You know what I mean? I'm
Mhm.
not self-preservation #1 law of the land, so I'm not gonna let nobody hurt me. So the first thing I did, you know how you do, same way when you was in the street. You know what I mean? You got busy quick. You learned how to survive. You know what I mean? And because of that, I'm here today to even be able to tell that story. But me and Unique done been in some situations from riots to all type of stuff. You know what I mean? We done been shipped all over the United States. I've been probably down every maximum prison in the federal system. And so yeah, we here, man. We here.
See, my intro there was a little different. I was coming in with an 848 kingpin charge for drugs. So when I came up in there, they told me, "Oh, you look like one of them slick niggas." You know what I mean? I'm gonna let you know now. We got a unicorn. We making a whole lot of money. You understand what I'm saying? They working. They happy. They like drugs. You know what I mean? I know what you here for. I don't have a problem with you bringing drugs in the institution. Don't get caught is the first rule. You know what I mean? But we're not going to really trip that because we need the drugs to keep them working in the unicorn.
That's a
So it
fact.
was one hand hit another. All the dudes working unicorn was on dope. So they telling me bring in all the dope you want so you can feed the dudes in unicorn. We ain't gonna chase you, but don't get caught. In other words, don't get caught slipping. You know what I mean? That's what he's saying. He's like, yo, you go do your thing. We need more drug dealers on the compound. You know what I mean? We talking about back in 95, it was only a handful of us coming in then. You remember Bounty was just me, you, Doo-Wop, Big L. You understand? Sincere, Youngin. You understand what I'm saying? Dap. You understand what I'm saying? Big
God
C.
bless the dead, Slow Mo.
Listen, let them know some names was there. Talk to them.
Yeah, Mo Garrett, Slow
Mo
Mo.
Gary. All right.
Yeah, shout out to Mo Garrett.
You know, Ricky Duval from Baltimore. You know, I mean, they had all types of dudes there, man. You know, that's just how it was. You know what I mean? You know, right or wrong though, family. You know.
Yeah, it was a very serious place, but we had a good group of dudes. We had some good homies from New York that was representing, and we connected with good dudes from all over, from DC, from Cali.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we was young New York hustlers, so we attracted people. You know what I'm saying? And we was definitely getting a bag in there, so it was what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Me and Unique, we there smoking like we was in the street. You know what I'm saying? It was what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was an eye-opening experience, and and I wouldn't recommend that on nobody. You know what I mean? And so that's what. And Unique, you probably remember the last time me and you actually seen each other was the day of the riot. What was that? The Million Man March in 1995, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's the
and
last
yeah,
time I seen him in 1995, man. October, that like
1995.
October 25th. I remember the date. That's when the riot kicked off. You
Exactly,
know,
exactly.
they had you in J Block, they had me in H Block. You know what I mean? We sending signs in the window. You know, they
Because
got
they
a
had
hey,
just broke us up. They had just broke us up from
yeah,
our block. We was all in our block, and
exactly.
they were
Me,
saying
you,
they
young,
were
and
saying
yeah.
we had too much control, and they broke us up and sent us to different units. That's how I
Mhm.
end up on J3 with Doo Wop and Slow Mo and all of them. Old man, Mr. The Gap. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, some good official old heads, man, from Harlem and the
Mhm.
Bronx. And
Freddie
yeah,
Myers,
we
Fat Stevie was there. Pete Monsanto. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly,
Come on, man.
exactly. Good
Hmm.
men. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our last time, man. After in the riot, you know what I mean. For a couple of days, we was doing our thing in the penitentiary. All kinds of shit was going down. It was a riot. They actually brought the National Guards in to gain back control of the penitentiary, and and they broke us up, and they had us. I stayed in the shoe. I stayed in solitary confinement for 3 years, and they sent me to Terry Hut, Indiana. And they let me out for one day for 24 hours, and some shit popped off, and they locked me back down for 2 more years. And so, and the journey just went from there, man, everywhere. You know?
Let's back it up. Let's get to him about. Let's get to him. Now, when they locked us up for the riot and all that was going on in Lewisburg, none of this is the brag and none of this is the boast. Let me just say, but I want y'all to understand that we was young, dumb. We didn't even care. You know what I mean? That's why I want to give a big shout out to Guy Fisher and William Underwood. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I met them later on in life. You understand what I'm saying? When I was a little older, you know what I mean? Little time set in,
And I'm still doing me though. I'm shaking and baking. I'm still getting dope in. I'm doing everything. You understand what I'm saying? Running
Mm-hmm.
gambling table. I'm bidding like I'm on the street, thinking, yeah, I'm going home. I'm fighting the case at the same time, and and I'm still going to school a little bit. I'm still getting myself prepared. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
selling drugs. I'm doing me. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready to change, but I give a shout out to Underwood and God, because both of them was trying to tell me back in '99 in Allenwood, you need to chill out. You got them tearing the visiting hall up. You know what I mean? Got to
Shout
sit.
out to God Fisherman.
You know what I mean? So I mean, things like that. But you know, they was giving me good guidance then that I didn't want to hear. Then you understand? I didn't want to hear it, but I heard it. You know what I mean? But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't apply that till many years later. You know what I mean? And I respect them. They good OGs, man. I was a little wild when it, like I said,
At the time, we wasn't trying to hear that though.
yeah,
We we
they
wasn't
didn't like me.
receptive. Just like some of the youth ain't gonna hear what we talking about. They're gonna look at it as we looked at them. We looked at them as, oh man, they've been in a long time. Like the system broke them. That's how I looked at it, because I didn't have a respect for it at the time. So I looked at it as, oh man, they washed up. All that shit I heard about them dudes, they in here
Hmm.
talking about chill, chill, chill. We on go mode.
Hmm.
So when you're on go mode, you're not trying to hear that. You look at that as, man, all right, daytime over. Like, let us do us.
you know?
You know what I'm saying? And that's how we
Hmm.
looked at it. We had to make our own way. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Probably how they was when they came in and they old heads spoke to them.
Yeah.
Just tradition. You know what I mean? Um, but we definitely needed that guidance, and it came in hand. It just came in hand a little later for us. But those was things that we learned from them. And but each era had, of course, have to make their own way, and everybody has to learn their own thing. And unfortunately, some people don't never get it until it's too late. And that's the purpose of this here, is to try to reach at least as many as we can, to say that at the end of the day it's not worth it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
And going in penitentiary at 18 years old and doing 26 years and coming out when you 44, that's not a life you want to live. You know what I mean? And fortunately, all praise due to God, we made it out, because both our paperwork, said death imprisonment. Ain't no parole in the federal prison. And I remember many days, me and Unique in there, we just reading through law books, because even though we was running around, part of my language, we was running around with the shits in prison, but at the same time, we never lost focus. We was fighting our case. We was very involved. And if Unique seen something that fit my case, he'd bring it to me like, bro, he go look into this case. This help you, and vice versa. You know what I mean? And we both saw the growth in each other. You know what I mean? Certain things I would never speak on, but since Brody already, spoke on those things, you know what I mean, I would say it. But had he not spoke on it, certain things I would never speak on. But I remember a time when you need used to come to me and be like, huh, read this letter for me. You know what I'm saying? Or read this. And just to see now how far he came, you know what I mean? That's a salute and an honor. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I remember days I used to sit there and write letters for bro. You know what I mean? We sit there and write letters, because he was getting million letters. You know what I'm saying? And pictures. You know what I mean? Everybody was somebody, and we would sit there, man, and we would. This was our way of escaping the penitentiary. So we sat there, we would look at pictures, go through pictures for hours, stories,
Hmm.
and it took us out the penitentiary for real.
Yeah.
As I'm speaking about it, it brings back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, because you find a way, and that's what we done. Because when you're in prison, especially with a life sentence, the way I looked at it is, them people put me in a maze, and it's my job to find my way out. So this is the days before computers, and where you could just Google a case and all that. We had to actually hit the law books,
Hmm.
and bro being at a disadvantage, because at the time, certain he couldn't read. So it was like we would sit there, but that's how it was the camaraderie, how we would sit around, you know what I'm saying? Um, and at first I used to say, it was an eye opener to me, because I'm saying, here it is, you know, you got a motherfucker that can count all the money in the world, right? And but at the same time, but it goes to show that what you want to do and you determine, Because I seen, bro. All right, thank you, bro. Yes. Have a good night. All right. Right there where they at. Yes, pardon me. Um, that's the world famous DJ Frank Ski too. You know, he came and played for us tonight. That's why he just said thank you.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you remember Frank Ski from Baltimore days and all
Yeah.
that. You know,
All right.
he one of the biggest on the radio station here in Atlanta. But yeah, again, that come from our travels through Baltimore and DC and places we was at back then, doing whatever we was doing that led to our journey.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a pleasure and it's an honor, man. And I just want to say to anybody here listening, um, whether you're a young man, you know what I mean, any race don't matter for this. If you have a son, if you're a female and you have a brother, um, you need to have them tune in and tap in, man. It's important that they understand that you're not talking to those dudes that, you know, that tuck the back door to get out of prison. There's no disrespect nobody, but it is what it is, right? Some people tuck the back door, you know, and this is why I look at brothers like Unique and certain other brothers that Todd and L Boogie, you know, dudes that had life and kept it, you know, 100 inside the penitentiary and in the streets. And those dudes get a special mention because that was a time for us when, um, you know, that wasn't the way we chose to go out. You know what I mean? And so we fought our way out. So to me, you know, that's honorable. And I just, you know, I want to shout those men out and give a special shout out. The homie Fila just gave back life sentences and just came home. The homie True
Mhm.
from Brooklyn just gave back a life sentence and he home. I got at least 10 brothers, man, that, you know, I'm in constant contact with that we all had life sentences, man. And every one of them did 25 and better and we home. You know what I mean? And not only are we home, but we making a difference in our community. I just did 2 food drives in my hood in Bed-Stuy. Shout out to the homie Popsy, CMB Popsy, the homie Fruit Quan. You know what I mean? These is brothers that, you know, they put on for the hood and they got a lot of time and they came home, man. They doing positive things, man. They speaking to youth. They get doing food drives. Um, if you out there, you see us on the street, you see me on the street, pull up on me, man. We could talk. We could always chop it up. If you have a son that's at risk, a nephew, or you, and you just want somebody to speak to them, some mentorship, um, I can't save the world, but whoever I can save, man, I'm gonna do my part. You understand? And I think if we all do our part, then the job get done. Know what I mean?
Well
But
said. Well said. Now, being that you don't went there, um, it was crazy for me. Whereas I had a bond towards this brother, you know what I mean? Because he was young, he was wild, he was cut from my cloth, you know what I mean? And he was younger than me, because he about 8, 10 years, 9 years younger than me, you know what I mean? But he's running with me and older dudes and older dudes and older dudes, and everybody love him because he know how to move. You understand what I'm saying? And we learn that from knowing how to move on the street because any environment we get to, we adapt to like a chameleon. You understand what I'm saying?
facts.
We change colors too. You know what I mean? Some brighter than others, you know what I mean? And then some, darker than others. You know what I mean? But we change colors too. But we all have all the ingredients in this that each other have. You know what I mean? So we each got that bright side. It's just how bright you're going to allow it to go. You understand? And we each got that dark side. So it's about how deep you're going to let that go. You know what I mean? If you're really ready to let the dark side go. I mean, it's crazy because no disrespect to today, because I've been gone 30 years. I'm just telling you how it looked from my point of view. I mean, back then, man, you know, they didn't play with the reckless shooting and the reckless this. I mean, if somebody wanted somebody, they went up to them and put them out. You know what I mean? They gave him 2 to the head. However, and that was it. It wasn't 10 other people might get shot or could get shot. No disrespect to nobody. I'm just telling you how it was. But that's because it was like lawless back then. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning you had to stand your ground as a man. You know what I mean? You had to stand your ground as a man when wolves came at you. You know what I mean? Because
Facts.
we all wolves, but you get bigger wolves, badder wolves, and all different type. They get the cross wolves. Those are the ones like if you take your dog and you feed it gunpowder or you feed it hot sauce, every day for 6 months, he's gonna get what we call cross. He's gonna get crazy. You know what I mean? He might just bite at you for no reason because his mind ain't dead. You know what I mean? But you created a mean dog. No disrespect to the animal lovers, but that's how they was doing it back then. They'll feed the dogs gunpowder. Remember, feed the pit bull gunpowder, shit like that, to fuck his mind up. You know what I mean? To get the teeth showing. You understand what I'm saying? And you got some dudes that's like that. You know what I mean? We'll just say something so you understand what I'm saying, like a serial killer. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like they didn't even really care about the hood to know, to even label the hood as far as hood serial killers. You know what I mean? They got Wayne Kane Gacy and all of this. You understand what I'm saying? Serial killers that they put on the news. But during the crack era, they had serial killers. Right or wrong, Bounty?
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? They had serial killers, my nigga.
So when you look up the definition of a serial killer, it's a person that kills 2 or more in similar fashion. And when you go by that, of course, there's a lot more serial killers than we think of. But yeah, the hood was different then. The value of life was at an all-time low. You know what I mean? And even now, you know what I mean? Just back then, it was just a little more on principles. Not to say that anything ever warrants taking a life, but it was more on principle than where now, there's no rules, there's no principles, because the older guys that we came up under, you couldn't just move any kind of way and be in them dudes. That you was around steppers, and when you was around steppers, you couldn't move any type of way. You know what I mean? And they had you show respect for the hood. Like, you know what I mean? We knew your mother was coming by. She knew what we was doing, but it was still a respect thing. Hold the blunt down. You know what I mean? Miss Johnson coming by, grab Miss Johnson bags, walk her home. You know what I mean? Shit like that. As to where now, there's a lack of respect for the elders in the community. You know what I mean? You tell a youngster now, like, yo, hold the blunt down, Miss Johnson coming. They be like, shit, so what? Like, you know what I mean? This, that, and the third. Like, is a lack of respect because we don't really have people in the community really taking control as they used to. Because even the street dudes, then the gangsters that we respected, this was because of the way they move. They move like honorable men. You wouldn't even know they're gangsters. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know that until it's too late. You know what I mean? And if you knew, you knew. That means you was in the loop, or you just heard about them. You know what I mean? But now it's a different type of era, and so, it's different now. You know what I mean? How was it for you, Unique, like coming out here now, seeing how things is now as opposed to when you left?
Oh man, I drive down 8th Avenue, 7th Avenue, Lenox, Madison Park, Lexington, Broadway, Amsterdam, Riverside. I drive all through Harlem, and it don't look the same because it's not as crowded as it used to be. You know what I mean? It was crowded then. You know what I mean? All the blocks was crowded. You understand? Any block could you imagine any block you walk on, you're gonna have, maybe 5 person there, 5 person there, 10 over there. You know what I mean? 10 over there, 5 over there, and they just mingling or moving, and you know what I mean? Stop talk as they go up. Some keep going. It's just so much traffic going on, and so maybe that's why we talk with our hands in New York. You know what I mean? Because we try to rock to the rhythm of what's going on around us. Because it was just traveling. It's not moving like that now. You understand what I'm saying? Everything is moving at a slow pace. Where back then everything was elevated, and then we as the chameleons we are, we elevated to that too. You know what I mean? So that's really what I see, man. And but a lot of people get on the youth bounty, but you understand because you went in young and I went in young. But we left kids behind, and it's our kids. You know what I mean? That's and our kids that's carrying on. You know what I mean? Because we talking about 30 years. You understand what I'm saying? But that's because they took so much of us men out the neighborhood that everyone looked up to, the females and the dudes. So when we left, they had no one to look up to, so they just blended in with society and just went along. And a lot of them is still even living in the very same apartment that I left them in. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, some still got it and buy houses somewhere else and all that. But you know, it's just that's what I see, man. It's different. You know what I mean?
It's
I don't
definitely
feel
different.
the unity. Yo, you could walk back in the day, you could walk from 155th Street down to 145th Street and go between any of them blocks, and it's a cookout on any block, and you could pull up and get something to eat and just chill, and ain't nobody gonna bother you. The lady serving the food gonna ask, "What you want, baby?" She don't even know you. You don't know nobody there. You just walking through, and they feed you. That's how my era was. You know what I mean? That's how we used to do the cookouts. You know, big shout out to Booth and T-Rod. They still running it on 49th Street heavy. You understand what I'm saying? But you know, let's get into this because you know, being that we talking about Booth and T-Rod, we talking about my generation. First of all, tell them who you are. What are your charges? I don't went this far. Tell them what your charges was so they know who you really are. What was your charges and how old was you?
Well, I was indicted at 17. It was 25 of us. I was charged as the leader and organizer of a racketeering enterprise that expanded across 6 states. I was charged with racketeering, murder, firearm charges, uh, a bunch of drug-related charges, and I had 2 different trials. I was charged in the state of Virginia with a capital murder, and then I ended up beating that, and then the feds put that on top of the RICO that I was already charged with. In the RICO, they added that body, and I blew to that, facing death penalty at 18 years old, and I got convicted, and they gave me 2 life sentences and 35 years, and but yeah, that it all stemmed from going from New York, you know, taking a show on the road, drug selling and all that, until they hit me with the organized crime statute. So for those listening that don't know what RICO is, RICO stands for Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization. It stemmed around, you know, the whole drug organization, but when they hit you with RICO, that just means that usually now they just abuse RICO, but back then, when you got hit with RICO, that mean because you was moving on a certain level and it was organized, it was more sophisticated crime as opposed to just you know, calling it drug selling or whatever. But basically, that was what happening, and you know, I had a lot of co-defendants. You know, what I mean, I came up from Jamaica that was brought up, and shout out to Rati, shout out to Bonton, you
Mhm.
know, and so that's what was my story. So I was, and all my co-defendants, as I represented myself, I always got them out. Um, so I got them out of prison as well as getting myself out, and I fought that myself. You know what I mean? The first 21 years of my bid, I ain't win nothing. I had 8 appeals with 8 different lawyers, and they ain't win nothing. Um, After I took a law program, you know what I mean, and because I knew my case, but to be able to legally articulate it to the court, you know, that's why I took a law program, and I represented myself. You know what I mean. So me sitting here today as a free man, you know, it's a great feeling, but it's also a greater feeling knowing that I got myself out. You know what I mean? No lawyers ain't get me out. You know what I mean? Actually, lawyers be mad arrogant because they feel like you're a young black man. You come to prison, you ain't even have a GED. You know what I mean? And so they feel like you ain't been in no law school. But the thing that I used to always say to lawyers is, you got a million clients. I'm my only client. You know what I mean? So I eat, breathe, and sleep my case. And I say that to anybody who has someone incarcerated, man. Stay involved with your case because it's easy to get caught up in the penitentiary life, and you know, dudes work out all the time and they do all that, and everything is entertainment and watching, you know, all the reality shows and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with entertainment. But your life, you know what I mean? Things that affect your life, like getting out of prison, that should be your number one priority. And I never lost focus of that. You know what I mean? I was front line, you know what I mean? They go that. I and again, not in a bragging way, but you know, I mastered that penitentiary shit. The same way we learned everything else. We learned the street game and we mastered it. We did what we did. And I learned that. And I used it to my advantage. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of homies respected me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And fortunately, unfortunately, I was in a lot of prison wars. And I could sit here and say, man, by the grace of God, I left without a scratch. You know what I mean? And we lost a lot of good men in prison. You know what I mean? I done sat there and seen homies get stabbed and die in front of me. You know what I mean?
Rest in peace. Hold up.
Rest in peace to Big C.
Big C, definitely. Supreme
Big C,
Team C,
Supreme
Happy
Team.
Hunt, my brother.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Shout out to the homie Preem. That documentary is out. You know what I mean? But Preem is another one, 8 life sentences. You know what I mean? Stand up.
And rest in peace to Mario, Minx from DC. He passed away 2 weeks ago, got stabbed twice, you know what I mean, in Pollock Penitentiary. That's one of the brothers that, you know what I mean, and he was down for like 30 years. You understand what I'm saying? And he just lost his life. So that's how it go, man. I mean, anything can happen. So that's why we say just, stay out of it. It ain't even worth it. Don't get involved in it. You know what I mean? Because if you get involved in it, you know what I mean? You're going to have to make certain choices that you normally wouldn't make and you definitely don't want to make. You know what I mean? And, it is what it is. And, just to show you how people could change, Bounty popped out. I hope he popped back in because I wanted him to definitely speak on this. You know what I mean? But, just to show you how we can change, because when I went in, I couldn't read or write. And I came out of there with 3,500 hours of psychological training to find out why I was screwed up and why I lived by the code and absorbed it so much and became a part of my essence. You know what I mean? And, I became a mentor, certified cook, certified electrician, certified plumber, HVAC, refrigeration, mechanic, electrician. You know what I mean? Whatever they taught, I went and grabbed. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why I'm sitting out here in front of you. You know what I mean? Because I utilized it to my best. But that was after I wasted over a decade still selling drugs in prison, not wanting to grow up, not wanting to listen to Guy Fisher and William Underwood. You understand what I'm saying? And, when I slowed down and got a little older, they the ones that popped into my mind, how they was moving. You know what I mean? But when I came in, I was still moving like I was on the street. You know what I mean? I'm buying knives, making knives, selling knives, making wine and selling wine. You know what I mean? Bringing in dope, bringing in, come on. Just bringing everything in. SIS, running up in niggas' cell, watching your family when they come on a visit. You know what I mean? And most of the time it wasn't even coming off the visit. You know what I mean? There was ways that we was getting it in when it was in there because we wanted to do what we wanted to do. And once you want to do something, you're going to make it happen anyway. Ain't nobody going to stop you. You know what I mean? And, that's the era that I come from. But let's take my brother Lou Sims. You know what I mean? I really wanted Bounty to speak on him because he was in some places with him and saw the way he handled himself. You know what I mean? Meaning, he went in, for being allegedly accused of a number of bodies. You know what I mean? And while he was in there, he stopped a lot of murders. He stopped a lot of stabbings. You know what I mean? He ran the car. You know what I mean? He made sure everybody stayed out of trouble where they was at. You understand what I'm saying? So whenever something happened, that's who they'll go pick up because, that's the big homie that's running the car. So a little dude do something 5 buildings away from where he at, you know what I mean? And, dude get out on somebody, which is 9 times out of 10, they got out real dirty on a nigga. You know what I mean? And they got to lock the jail down. They going to go grab the big homie. You know what I mean? He was on the phone, with his daughter. You understand? When it jumped off in his unit secured, but they're going to still grab him because, they know that he has a voice, you know what I mean? Within everybody in the car. You understand what I'm saying? So, of course they try and grab the head first, you know what I mean? But I say that to say that he done changed his life around. He out here, he's doing positive movement, fundraisers and everything, you know what I mean? And, he's making a difference. You know what I mean? Instead of being a part of the problem, you know what I mean? He became a part of the solution, and that's what it's really about, So you know, that's where it's at, man. So if anybody got any questions, shoot them in so I could go. You know what I mean? I just wanted to tap in for a minute. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to stay here too long. So let me scroll through some of this. But like I said, you know, I got, you know, some new videos that I put up so you see what we dealing with. You know what I mean? And, you know, it is what it is. You know? Let me see where it's at. Somebody I'm looking for him. I saw you up there, big homie, LMM or something like that. Said he was interested in funding the movie or something like that. So just what email should he DM me? Put an email up there for him to email me. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. L.M.O. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just you can just DM me at my Instagram at Unique Mecca Audio at Instagram. Just DM me there, big homie. You know what I mean? But like I said, we here, man. You know, we just wanted to tap in, let y'all know what it is. You know, we respect y'all for coming in. All right. And don't forget, cop the book of Roy and Harlem. All right. The audio book out, go to royharlem.com. All right, make it happen. All right.